Welcome to Wintergrasp, ladies. Time to get bold in the cold. The mission: to capture or protect the Titan relic in the vault behind me. Now, there's a lot that goes into that from both an offensive and defensive perspective, and we're going to cover both quickly before we hop in there and I show you how it gets done. Let's pull up the map and explain a few things first. Now, there's a lot going on in this battleground, but we'll just take it piece by piece and I'll break it down for you real simple. It's no problem. This is where the big team fight at every Wintergrasp takes place, right here at the Sunken Temple Workshop. The defenders will come down here. The attackers will just swoop in. They'll glide in. They'll jump in, flap in, whatever. They're going to come in here and you're going to have a big fight. There'll be a flag right about here, and it's an area of control. So whoever has the most people in it will take over this area and take over this workshop. Now, the point of workshops is to build siege engines, to either attack the keep or defend it. So you take a workshop, and now pretty soon you'll see a guy will spawn inside of here to allow you to start building them. Now, to build the first siege engine available, the catapult, you're going to need the rank of corporal, which I believe is 5 honorable kills or whatever. You get ranks based on kills. You don't have to worry about it as a healer. Just heal everybody, and when they kill stuff, you'll get ranked. You're going to rank up very quickly.
Can I help
And then you just talk to this guy and you say, I'd like to build a catapult. And there you go. You're building it. This sexy guy here is the catapult. And he's got 2 great abilities. The first one is a plague barrel, where you throw it out and you can just aim it at a group of guys. And then you can just fling it out there, and it does some nice AoE damage. And it leaves a little poison cloud that does a little damage for people that run through it. Okay, that's the first ability. The second one is the one that you really want to use, and this is so good for killing enemy players and also taking down enemy siege engines. You just say this is a bunch of siege engines here. You're plague barreling in as you go, and there's a little delay because it cocks back and then fires as you hit it. And then once you're on top of them, you use your flame cannon here, or your flame breath. And just keep spamming it and keep it going, and you'll just see tons of numbers flying up. These are the first ones you have access to, and they can really turn a fight very quickly once people start hopping in them. These are especially good for defenders when you have a bunch of enemy siege stacked on a wall trying to knock it down. You come out of there, you hit them with your flame breath, and just watch them melt. Very powerful against players, and enemy siege engines, not so great at knocking down walls. Now, once you hit the rank of First Lieutenant, you'll have access to the other 2 siege engines that you can build, the Demolisher and the siege engine. So here's the Demolisher. This is the one you're going to see the most of, the Demolisher. It's got 2 abilities, Hurl Boulder, and you can really hurl these things. I mean, you can hurl them over walls, pretty good distance, and it's just a little 2-second cooldown. And you just really want to spam this. You can hit players, you can hit other siege engines, and this is really where the sieging duels take place, is between demolishers. And then if you run them up to a wall, they also have this ram ability that does moderate damage to the wall. They're not the best for knocking down walls, but they're really nice because you can sit back from a distance and not lose them and just hit walls like that, and they do pretty good damage. But when it comes to kicking ass in Wintergrasp and knocking down walls, there's absolutely nothing better than the siege tank here. And it just has one ability for the driver, which is ram, and it does the most damage to walls out of any of the vehicles. So you just come up to a wall and you just ram it. If you build a siege engine to come knock down walls, and you really don't want to bring these in until your demolishers and catapults have cleaned out the enemy siege, and your ranged players are knocking these turrets down, and then you bring the siege tank up here and you just really start knocking these walls down. And you'll want to tell people when you're in a siege engine, hey, need a gunner. You'll see them type something like that, and what that means is they need someone to get in the cannon, because it's also got a cannon that can shoot enemy players, or it can also participate in helping knock down a wall. Now, it doesn't do a ton of damage to walls, but combined with the ram as well, this thing really starts taking wall health down dramatically. So protect your siege tanks at all cost. They have a lot of health, but they're big and they get targeted quickly by the enemy team. The siege tank can also carry a couple passengers, a couple DPS, if they don't want to get bashed, going in. You want a little protection. You want the siege tank to absorb some damage, and then once it gets in range, or it starts coming under attack, click the button, you hop out, take care of the problem, then you hop back in, and you roll back to get to sieging. For the most part, you'll see a lot of demolishers, a few siege engines, but it's really best to have a blend. Now for healers, these are the best things in the game right here, are the RPGGs. I always like to carry one of these. It's a 4.1 second cast, and it's got a huge range. And you just target a siege vehicle, and then you click on it. It has to be an enemy one, obviously. And then you can fire a rocket that does very heavy damage to an enemy siege vehicle. And you just build what you need. If you need to take down a lot of enemy siege and they're stacked outside the gate here, you might want some catapults to go burn them down. If you're trying to knock walls down, demolishers and siege engines are what you're looking for. But remember, you can't build the demolishers and the siege engines until you've got your rank of first lieutenant. You'll see there's 4 workshops out here, and there's also 2 inside the keep. Now, all 4 of these can be taken. The ones in the keep stay in the control of the defenders. There's a few things about workshops. First off, the number of workshops your faction controls determines the number of siege engines you can build. Something to consider is when you win this initial battle and everybody builds their siege engines and they start pushing up here, you need a group of players to come back here to the back lines and make sure that you maintain control of these other workshops. Because if everybody stays focused here laying siege and the defenders sneak guys out here and take them, they're going to cut the number of siege engines that you can build, and they're going to be able to build a lot more. Capturing the initial workshop is very important. But once it's captured, whoever captured it on either side, you also need some of your teammates to make sure that you maintain control of the other workshops. And this is a real struggle for the offense sometimes because a lot of people want to be out here PvPing, and very oftentimes it's hard to find people selfless enough to go out here and do what's good for the team, right? Sometimes what's good for the hive isn't good for the bee. So we've captured our workshop. We're building our siege engines and they're laying siege. The defenders are building their siege engines, and there's a giant battle going on for the siege of the fortress. And you've also got, hopefully, a small group running around making sure your faction controls the workshop so that you can build the most siege engines possible. You'll also see that there are graveyards tied to workshops. So you're going to spawn at the closest workshop that your faction controls. So it's very important to control one of these workshops and be producing siege from it, because if you die, which a lot of people will in this battleground, you res right here, you come back, you build another siege engine, and you keep pushing. And this allows you to feed the siege and overwhelm the defenders. So you build siege engines at workshops. The number of workshops you control determines the number of siege engines your faction can build. And they also give you a graveyard to spawn in closer to the action so you can keep feeding the siege. That's the function of workshops. You'll also notice that there are towers on the map. Let's talk about those. So here's a tower, and they have an important function as well. On offense, now again, the offense starts right here at the beginning of the battleground, and they'll group up and they'll all head here for the big team fight. If they win this team fight, the goal is to keep pressure and protect your workshop so that you can maintain that pressure. If they lose, the defenders have a chance to further seal their victory by knocking down the offense's towers. Every time you destroy one of these towers, you knock time off the battleground. And if you knock all 3 down, it's a substantial amount of time. There's some strategy involved here, because if you win this battle here and you keep pushing in here, you're still going to need some of your players to come over here and make sure the defenders don't build siege engines and come down here and start knocking down towers. The key thing I'm trying to point out is, win or lose this first big battle, there's a lot more going on that you got to be aware of. And you can't just tunnel on the siege aspect. You need people that are going to come over. And by people, I mean DPS players. Healers should all be up here. If you're a healer, you need to be up here helping your team with the siege or defending the siege. Maybe 1 or 2 healers break off, but I wouldn't suggest more than that. So when you're on offense, don't get tunnel visioned to the point that you're not aware of the defenders maybe bringing siege engines down here or taking these graveyards and then smashing your towers. And very often what happens is, if the defense wins this first battle, what they do is they just push down here with their superior siege. And then if they can either push you off of this graveyard or they can chip some siege engines this way, they'll go start knocking down these towers. Now, in the actual battleground, these towers spawn turrets at them that you can use to help defend them. And they take a while to knock down, but it's something to be aware of. Now, on defense, you'll notice there are also 4 towers in the fortress. And just like the towers back here, these ones can be destroyed. And I suggest that you do destroy them if you can, if you're laying siege, because you'll see these little platforms that stick out. Cannons will spawn here. And even if you can't destroy the tower because your siege is pushed too far back, if some hunters or some boomkins or anyone with some pretty substantial range DPS can sneak in within range and kill the cannons, it will help your siege to move up and start smashing these walls down, because these cannons do a lot of AoE damage and they do a lot of damage to siege engines. So it's very important that the attackers knock them down, and it's very important that the defenders try to use them to help defend the keep. All right, so we've covered fortresses, we've covered towers. Let me chip in a few quick suggestions that I think are very important before we head in there and get to kicking ass. So my first statement, and I would put an asterisk, a star, whatever, if you are not geared at all, you have shit gear, which means you're not epically geared in PvP gear, you should be in a siege engine. Your greatest contribution, if you have a low eye level, will be made in a siege engine. Okay. I always suggest the most geared people and healers stay out of siege engines, and the least geared people should get into siege engines. Because in this battleground, top damage done is most often done by either a completely geared range DPS and or people in siege engines. Having max production of siege engines and having people be very active and good with their siege engines is the key to success. And you are going to contribute the most, especially if you're under geared, by having your ass in a siege engine. It's not even a question. I do not suggest that healers get in siege engines at all. I suggest that healers stay out of them. You can ride in a siege engine because you can still heal, but I'll show you how that works. So, my first tip is, the less gear you have, the more likely your ass should be in a siege engine. The second tip is, if you're a ranged DPS, and you're a geared ranged DPS in particular, you are essential to success. Because not only can you take out enemy siege engines from range, which is very important, you can take out the cannons. I mean, you can just take out enemy players, other ranged players who are shooting down. There's just a ton of advantage that you bring to this battleground. Whereas if you're a geared melee player, I would suggest that a few of you, especially the stealthies like the rogues or the ferals, are so great at defending and taking workshops. And it's essential that you do that, because it's not just about having siege engines, it's about having a ton of siege engines to push this thing. It's also very nice if a few of your stealthies are roaming around for reconnaissance, right? And they're telling you, hey, they're bringing some siege out here to knock down this tower. So some of you guys are all focused over here. We've got some guys trying to knock down our tower, and they can get on that. You know, maybe they can come down here and build a catapult and then come and take care of that. But no matter what, you want to have max build, and you'll see people call for it in chat. Max build, max build. And what that means is we want to have every siege engine available laying siege and active. So keep building more siege engines and hop in them. If you can, let the moderate to low geared players fill them up first, and then all the high geared, especially the high geared ranged and the healers, stay out and help support the siege. And that, gentlemen, is the basics of Wintergrasp. Now it's time to get to kicking ass. Real quick before we head in there, let me talk to my holy pally bros about talents. What do I always tell you? You're going to be the most successful when you're having the most fun. So do what you want. Play the talent you want. Change them up. Try different things. That's what's a lot of fun. That's the beauty of random battlegrounds, is that it really doesn't matter. It's just about having fun. And that's why they're my favorite. And I'm going to make them your favorite when I'm done with you. So this is the Wintergrasp build I like to run. It grabs a lot of AoE. You can see right here I move out of Compassion and into Resplendent Light. I'm going to use Holy Light a lot because I'm going to have this AoE heal from it. Also, instead of grabbing Divine Favor, which I love, I'm going to use this Hand of Divinity. Make sure you grab Illumination so that you get your Glimmer out on as many people as possible. Beacon of Virtue. There's going to be people dying so quick because siege engines do huge amounts of damage. You would be swapping your beacon back and forth nonstop. Grab Beacon, and what do I tell you? When you first start out with Beacon, the hard part about it is that 15-second cooldown. Here's what I want you to do. This is the only thing I want you to focus on if you're going to try this build, is simply every time you cast your Beacon, dump a cooldown into it. Okay, so we're going to cast Beacon, and then I'm going to throw my Divine Toll into it. That's a ton of healing right there. If you haven't used Hand of Divinity much, this is a very cool ability because as you can see there, it makes your next two Holy Lights. And remember, we've already buffed up Holy Light a little bit to do a little more AoE healing too. So really, I want you use Flash of Light so much. This time I want you to try to use Holy Light, and I'll try to, it's almost second nature for me to use Flash of Light, so I hit it all the time, and you'll see when I'm in here. So don't let me judge you, okay? But try as often as you can to use Holy Light. And this Hand of Divinity, 1.5 minute cooldown, it's so nice because watch, I cast it, and then you get this 20-second buff. We want to throw that into a beacon. So Beacon, Holy Light, Holy Light. Huge amount of healing for all those players. And just remember, every time you cast Beacon, so I'm going to get my tears up, okay, and then when I cast my Beacon, now I can cast Holy Prism into it. And you just want to consistently heal and blow your healing cooldowns into your Beacon while it's up. Beacon again, Holy Shock into it, then I hit Daybreak, right? And now I'm Holy Shock and healing, Holy Shock and healing, all into that Beacon. And so I'm kind of got a delay here, but the idea is every time you cast Beacon of Virtue, I want you to try to throw either your Holy Prism, your Daybreak, your Divine Toll, your Hand of Divinity, whatever you can, try to pump as much healing. And if not everything's on cooldown, then just put it up and put your Holy Lights into it. For PvP talents, I just have been loving spreading the word. You guys know, if you've watched any of my stuff, I'm so about this talent. You got double bops with Blessing of Hands. So even if I throw it out and it immediately gets purged, everybody within my aura gets 6% or gets 30% physical damage reduction. And if you don't know right now, in Battlegrounds and Epic Battlegrounds, Hunters are about 50% of the DPS on both sides. So physical damage reduction is pretty big. Also, clearing all movement impairing effects of everyone around you every 25 seconds. What is this? 25 seconds? Yeah. Plus, I've got 2 charges again with Blessed Hands. Huge, huge. I just love that utility. And again, it just goes back to making Holy Paladin the best fucking class ever. I think we can all agree with that. I think it's just an objective fact at this point when you see all our T-Mogs, all our abilities, that we're just the shit. Cleanse the Weak. Still love my Cleanse the Weak. It's a shadow of what it used to be. But remember, it does have this effect where when you cleanse people with your Holy Light, and like I said, we're really going to try to use Holy Light a lot during this battleground, you also cleanse them of disease and poisons. Decay diseases, Shadow Priest, Devouring Plague is a disease. You've got tons of rogues now because everybody's getting ready for the rogue rework. So there's just tons of poisons, tons of diseases. Ferals have diseases. There's just tons of that shit. And every time you heal people with Holy Light, you take it off of them. Just awesome. Over here in the Paladin, I just cannot suggest Auras of Swift Vengeance enough. You're going to constantly be getting killed and having to spawn and run in to either get to a workshop and get people up or get back into the fight, and having Crusader aura is just essential in this battleground, I feel like. This is my suggestion, but there's plenty of points you could take out. You could take this, I really have been liking this Tyrius Devotion. I've really been liking this on flag maps because you can't use Blessing of Protection on flag carriers for some reason. I don't know why that's the case, but it is. And so, getting that lay on of hands back off cooldown, and it comes off cooldown a lot faster with this ability. I just love the huge cooldowns that Holy Paladins have, and so getting them back as soon as possible is one of the things I really like about this build. Again, over here, you could easily take this out. I don't know that a minute's going to make a huge difference, but I just like to have as many bops as I can throughout the match and as many lay on hands as possible throughout the match. But there's plenty of things you could do to change things up, and I recommend that you do that whenever you want. Just remember, the whole goal, throw that beacon out and throw cooldowns into it. That's it. And just focus on that, and you're going to do great things in the name of the light. All right. Time to get to kicking ass in Wintergrasp. Q-Pop, we're on offense here. So like I said, we're going to move from here as a group to the Sunken Temple Workshop, and we're going to serve these hordes up an old-fashioned ass whooping. That's what it's going to be. You can know that. So loosen up the hips because we got a big team fight and a lot's riding on it. So here we go. Now, you might ask, well, why don't you send half here, and then whichever side wins and that? Well, remember, you have that rank mechanic where even if you take this over, if no one's killed any hordes, you can't build siege engines. This is why I really like to have Crusader aura, and I like to come back here, just make sure everybody's going full speed. And you can even pop, Aura Mastery if you want to get them there a little faster. I'm going to save it. And the key thing here is, too, we want to... I think we're going to go, well, boy, I'm going to get silenced a lot, but the damage reduction is nice for my teammates. I like to come in nice and hot. Pop Aura Mastery. Wings. Going to go ahead and get my tears out. People are going to drop quickly. So get them going. Now we're looking. Little lag up here at first. Pretty normal. If you see an explosive shot go out on somebody, it's a pretty good indicator that they are, I get so competitive here, that they are being targeted by a hunter, and that's a good time to bop them, actually. So I'm just throwing out my beacon and burning and throwing stuff into it, right? Gonna hit. Okay, you hear the ranks going out? Don't lose faith. Just keep healing. It's all you can do. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh. Come on. Come on. Keep it up. Keep the hunters up. Let's go. Come on. I got to fall back. God, I need mana so bad. Oh, we pumped and we won. See? Have faith. Got to have faith, the faith, the faith. When Oklahoma's going hot, you know it's going down. How do we do? Look at that. See? So look, now we've got rank and we've got first lieutenant rank, and here they come. Here they come, and we're gonna you can just hitch a ride to the front line and you just keep healing people while you're in the siege. See, that's what's great. If you're new to healing in Wintergrasp, one thing to look out for in your UI is you'll see people that are kind of low and you'll go to heal them, but if it has that little metal icon, it means they're in a vehicle, and that's the health of their vehicle. Okay, so look, see the towers, the cannons that I talked about, and the towers knocking things down, and they're hitting our siege engines. So someone needs to hit that. There we go. Now they're hitting the fortress towers going down, and you can see the health moving down right there. And you can just sit, look, I'm just sitting in this siege engine right now with my awesome T-Mog looking sexy as hell. And again, you want to heal people, but you want to try to heal the players. So there's our siege engine got knocked down. And in the meantime, just get that mana. Now remember, and look, we've got players just perfect out here, and they're taking the worst shops. Somebody's calling for the range to hit the towers. Absolutely what we need to do. And they're knocking the fortress down. We fight together. Let's go, family. Just keep the heal in your DPS. Keep them up. You got to trust them. Now, a thing that I messed up on, right, is that I should have grabbed an RPGG. Can I still grab one right here? I can. Am I going to have to bubble to get it? Carrying an RPGG. There we go. We got more siege. Okay, so we kind of had our siege. So the Hordes kind of killed our siege here. And this is what they say. See how we can build only 8? That's because the Hordes have taken these workshops. And what we really need is we need some guys to go back and take the workshops. Okay, we busted through the wall. And now we need to bust into this here. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep yourself up if you can. Oh, these Hordes are fired up today. We got to give them that. Come on, DK. I got you, baby. Keep that DK rolling. Just knock this wall down. We're in. There it is. There's my relic. I got to have it, family. Yeah. Little cheering action helps. Cheer them on. Okay, I got to get some mana for real, though. I got to come over here and get some mana and health. Come on, get out of combat. Can I even? Keep fighting. Just fill up. Just fill up as best you can. And then I'm going to come out and take over this fight. You can know that. Coming out. Pally bro, got you. Everybody's doing pretty good. Honestly, the healers in there, I don't know if they need me. Got some great healers in here. Just spot heal. Knock it in. There it is, and it's clicked. That's it. Absolutely beautiful job done by my beautiful blue team. That's how it's done. Okay, now let's try one from the defensive side. Just like when you're on offense, the defense is going to run out here and try to take this Sunken Ring Temple. The difference is, instead of trying to siege the keep, if we take this, we want to push south and start smashing these towers down. Meanwhile, we're also going to have to be careful of these workshops because they can spawn here and start sending siege this way. So make sure you're paying attention to your chat. Focus Sunken Ring. That's where we're headed. Look at my crew. Everybody gliding in like pros. So we're gliding into the Sunken Ring. And we're about to get it on. Stack on the flag so we start taking it. I love the ping system. Loving that. I'm going to go ahead and build up some holy power. Get my aura set. Send it out. There's always some lag at the beginning. Woo! It is laggy out. Okay, I think we're calming down now. Oh, I can't even move with all this lag, and that's okay. That happens. Just stay with it. There we go. We're ranking up. Stuff's dying. I'm hitting some wrong buttons here. Here we go. I'm going to see if I can res that DK. Because he was crushing. Holy Lightning. Oh. Okay, and now we've ranked up. We should be all the way. Okay, so we dominated that team fight. Very good. Just know it gets a little laggy. I probably should have dropped some add-ons because that does help. Okay, so now we roll, and we've secured this. We've also got a good group of rogues and hunters. Absolutely outstanding work by my teammates here. This is exactly what you want to see. They're making sure the hordes don't push that way, and you can see because we took both of these workshops now, we can build twice as many siege vehicles as they can, and we're pumping them. We're pumping them out. And now we're going to roll in. I'm going to hop off here and help them take this graveyard. And see how you can use the demolishers to help take objectives while some of them break off and go destroy the tower. And this is perfect. This is perfectly done. And once we cap this, and look, we just want to build, 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 and keep it rolling. So now this, and you can just see, this is an absolute slaughter. And that's kind of one of the downsides to this battleground, I think, is that they need to rebalance it. There we go. Knock that one down. And so that knocks some more time off. And you can see we're just going to continue to push out. So you can see that we've knocked all three of these towers down. We've got all of this coming in here to take BT. So we're about to take it. Now they've got a bunch of siege up here. So hopefully our siege will roll through once we camp this. And then we'll go wipe them. Some of them look like they're rolling up there anyway. Because they are trying to knock that down. Seems like they're going to have a hard time. That's a good time if you're back at the keep. And so you can see people spawning vehicles at the workshop, and you can spawn a catapult and come out here and burn them down. You could hop up in these towers and shoot them with cannons. And that's really all there is to it. Now the hordes took this one back over here. So now 10 minutes left. You just want to roll around and mop them up. And this is where those demolishers and catapults really help you. Because see, they're just laying hate in there from ranged. Makes it much easier to push the hordes back that way. And I'll just tell you, this is kind of the nature of Wintergrasp at this point. I wish they'd balance it out a little better, but it seems to be a stomp fest for one side. And I had one earlier where the hordes just wrecked us. So it goes both ways. I just have to show you the one I went on so I can give you an example of what to do. But you get a lot of honor whether you win or lose, so don't get too discouraged. So if you've ever heard the saying, the best defense is a great offense, that's pretty much true in Wintergrasp. And then we just GG, and we're done. Just very, very, very well done. Outstanding. The damage, the healing, all the way around. Wonderful. This battleground is healing. That's what it is. You can burn hordes, you can smash them with boulders, or you can just give them the old ram job. Hope this guide helps you understand what's going on so that you can have some fun. Don't delay, family. Hit that Q and get to kicking ass in Wintergrasp. It's a blast. Oklahoma out.